In today's video, we're going to go over how to create a method and how to call a method in Java. And it's pretty simple. It's similar to how you call methods using some established classes that we've used in the past, like the string class or the print writer class. And we'll get in, again, the chapter 5, module 5 is more of a lead into examples that we're going to use or building blocks we're going to use in module 6. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So methods, again, are basically chopped up bits of the problem that you want to solve. And so instead of having one long piece of code that encompasses the entire problem, you'll have different methods outside your main method that will execute pieces of code to solve the problem. And we're just going to write a real quick example here. We'll start off by making a different method outside the main method. Now, every Java program you're going to make requires a main method to call other methods, but we can have a different method. And we're going to type a couple things here. We're going to type in a couple words. We'll use reserved words. You use public, static, which are method modifiers. And these are keywords that you don't have to be concerned about right now. We'll go over what some of these mean in module 6. But just know that public allows the method to be used throughout the program, and static means that the method belongs to the class, not a specific object. And then we'll type in void. And now what this means is that this method does not return a value. It returns nothing. It will run the code that's inside of the method, but nothing more. Now there are two different types of methods: void methods and value returning methods. We'll go over value returning methods in the next lesson. But for now, we'll use a void method for what we need today. And then the last thing, we're going to put in a method name. And what we want to do here is we want the method to send out a piece of code. We'll call this greetings display. And since it's void, it has no arguments to pass in the method header. So there are no variables to pass inside of it. Again, we'll go over passing argument in the next lesson. So just like your main method, you have two brackets that you need to send out or to type in, and then you'll go ahead and put in a statement inside the body of the method. And so what we want here, we want to type in system out, and we want to print a line out through the terminal. We want to say welcome to SDCC Bank. And how we can run this piece of code is we'll go here, and we'll go ahead and type in, we'll call the method. We'll say, and the reason why we're throwing an error here is because you haven't used greetings display. So what we'll do here is we'll type in greetings display, and then we'll call the method here. And instead of writing this piece of code in the main method, we'll call a method to actually display the code. And we run it. We run this. We'll go ahead and compile it, and it prints out in the terminal, welcome to SDCC Bank, which is, you could easily put it in here, but it's more powerful if you can break up the problems and the problem into discrete individual problems, sort of like building a Lego to solve the overall problem. So let's make this a little bit more complicated. Let's say we want to have an if statement that ask the user whether or not they have a bank account or not. And if they don't have a bank account, we're going to prompt them to create one. So what we can do here is we'll still use the method down here of greeting display, and we'll say well, we have to create a couple more objects. We'll import the scanner class as the user, so we can have a input output to the terminal, and we'll create a string and we'll name it input. String object, and we'll name it input, and then we'll create a new scanner class, and we'll call it keyboard. We keep it simple. And here we'll ask the user system the out print line. Hey, do you have an account? Yes or no? And from there, we'll go ahead and take the input and store it into that reference variable, and we'll say keyboard is equal to next line, and we'll store the next line into input. And here, this is where we can say if input equals yes, or y, uppercase Y, and we can put a little bit of flexibility and say inputs equals to a lowercase y. Then we want to say greetings display. We want to display the greeting. Now, if it doesn't, else we want to say in the system.out call, we want to say please create account. And that should compile. So we'll go ahead and press run. And here it's asking us, do we have an account? Put a lowercase y. And it says, welcome to SDCCD Bank. However, if we put a no, or really any other string besides a uppercase or a lowercase y, it'll ask me to create an account. And so we'll come back to this code later on in the module. So that's the basics of a method. In the next lesson, we'll talk about passing values in the arguments for a method, or in the method header. Basically, in this area right here, we could definitely put in variables that we want to pass this method. So in greeting display, we could pass in the username, perhaps, and it will display the username or whatever else you want. And again, that's a little bit more advanced. We'll be passing in a string object. Initially, we'll deal with just primitive variables, and we'll go to string objects.